Stop me if you've heard this before. The Angels are having a good offseason. So in a moment, we're going to talk about the big-time trade, if you want to call it a big-time trade. I think Hunter Renfroe is a pretty productive baseball player. He was traded for 3 separate pitchers, Jansen Junk, Elvis Peguero, and Adam Seminaris. And not a blockbuster trade, but we do have to talk about it because there's a lot of moving parts. Also, if you have no idea who Hunter Renfroe is, he is Mike Trout's twin brother, long lost from another country. He's Italian. I don't know what I'm saying, but he looks exactly like Mike Trout. Now, before we talk about that trade, I do want to quickly update you guys on the Aaron Judge sweepstakes. By the way, we talk baseball every single day, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. But Jock Peterson has officially started recruiting Mr. Aaron Judge. He said, I got 99 problems, but winning ain't one. I don't believe that the Giants won anything last year, but if he's talking about the Braves, yeah, he's a World Series champion. And also, did he win one with the Dodgers? I can't remember. MLB Network is reporting, specifically John Morrissey is saying that the meetings went all the way up to the ownership level between Aaron Judge and the San Francisco Giants. So if you want the latest update, here it is.
But when you consider the thoughtfulness of the Giants and their long history and the number of icons they've had over time, it would not surprise me if the Giants really organized this to consider and go back to Aaron's emotions as a longtime fan.
Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about why is Tatis trending? I don't know what happened with that, but the Angels have officially acquired outfielder Hunter Renfroe from the Brewers in exchange for Jansen Junk, which, by the way, is a fantastic baseball name, Elvis Peguero, and a minor league left-handed pitcher, Adam Seminaris. So before we talk about the big fish, no pun intended, because again, he looks exactly like Mike Trout, talking about Hunter Renfroe. Let's talk about the pieces that the Brewers are getting in return for sending away Hunter Renfroe. A lot of people are calling this a salary dump, aka Buster only. So it's expected that he was going to make about $11 million in 2023. And now the expectation is that the Brewers are also going to try and give away Colton Wong to get some pieces in return. But the first player I want to talk about, Jansen Junk, again, a fantastic baseball name. So you would think with his last name of Junk, he's going to be nasty. Well, he did have an almost 12 strikeouts per 9, so he is nasty per se, but in almost 25 innings, so a very small sample size, he has a 4.74 ERA and a 5.22 FIP. FIP, if you have no idea what that means, if you just had the pitcher and the catcher, how good is that pitcher at not walking people, not allowing home runs, and striking out hitters? So it's essentially, how good could a pitcher be if he was Satchel Paige? He said, hey, all of my outfielders, infielders, go to the dugout. You're not going to help me. I'm going to get this dude out myself. That's FIP. So Jansen Junk in the small sample size has not been very effective, but he has been nasty in my opinion. Elvis Peguero, a very interesting pitcher if you ask me, because in 2021 in 2 innings he had 7 earned runs, 3 walks, and he had a 11.16 walks per 9, so he walked 3 hitters in 2.1 innings. And then the following year, yeah, he wasn't the best. He had a 6.2 strikeouts per 9, a 5.59 FIP. But again, these are small sample sizes. Jansen Junk threw 25 innings. Elvis Peguero had 20 innings. So you got to have some faith in these guys that the Brewers, whether you want to believe it or not, they are pretty good at developing pitchers. Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer, Corbin Burns, who's been a top 5 Cy Young player the last few seasons. They could turn these guys into superstars. The one player that I really feel like the Brewers can do the most magic with is Adam Seminaris. He is a 24-year-old left-handed player who has never played in the big leagues. So he started off last year hot. He had a .98 ERA in 36 innings in single A. He was moved up to double A, got worse. He was moved up to triple A, got even worse, a 5.24 ERA in 34 innings. And the strikeouts per 9 did drop off a cliff. It went from 10.6 to 7.9 to 7.1. The walks got worse as well. So overall, I'm not sure exactly how high their ceiling is, but teams like the Brewers, the Guardians, and the Rays, they can turn floundering pitchers into stud relievers or stud back end of the rotation players. That can happen. So if you are a Milwaukee fan, please let me know whether or not you agree with Buster Only, the fact that this is a salary dump, or you just think that the Angels have a surplus of pitchers that they're trying to give away for good talent in Hunter Renfroe. So as you guys can see, dating back to 2019, Hunter Renfroe has played for 5 different teams now in 5 consecutive years, but he's got 26 home runs, 26, 33, 31, and 29. So that makes Hunter Renfroe one of a few handful players in baseball that have hit 25 plus home runs in every full season since 2017. Like, the dude has pop, and it's serious pop. Over the last 2 seasons combined between 2021 and 2022, he has averaged playing 134 games with 28 doubles, 30 home runs, and he's striking out about 126 times, so he is going to strike out, but you'll take that for a 120 OPS plus and a guy that has a rifle for an arm. If we take a look at his baseball savant, again, a lot of people would say that this is a subjective website. I like it because it kind of shows you everything that you need to be worried about. He's not the best defender with the glove, but he has a cannon for an arm, and if you take a look at the average exit velocity as well as the max exit velocity, every time he makes contact with baseballs, he's basically deleting them. He's the Thanos of baseball, in my opinion. So I guess the question you have to ask, how does this make sense if you're an Angels fan? To me, this makes more sense than trading for Gio Urshela. A lot of people were getting on my case for not understanding the Gio Urshela trade. I know it's for depth, but the thing is, you can't really predict the future. I know Anthony Rendon hasn't given you reason to trust his health. If Anthony Rendon plays a full 150, where is Jared Walsh going to play? Because it is reported that he did have successful surgery on his thoracic outlet syndrome. That basically is the same injury that happened to Marquez Fultz or something, the former #1 overall pick in the NBA. It's basically the injury that causes the yips. So Jared Walsh, he should be healthy. Anthony Rendon, he should be healthy as well, but I guess those are big ifs, and maybe that's what I didn't see in the Gio Urshela trade, that there's nothing wrong with having depth. And Hunter Renfroe, adding him to the mix, he's going to be an easy 25 plus home runs. He's going to slug some doubles. What does that mean for Mickey Moniak? What does that mean for Joe Adell? Because Taylor Ward, who had a breakout season, he's not going to be sitting. Right now, I would fully expect that Joe Adell, I mean, you are a Pittsburgh Pirate. I mean, if we take a look at Joe Adell, who is supposed to be like the next Mike Trout, he had a negative .5 WAR. For his career, he has an almost -2 WAR because, one, he has a 70 career OPS plus. He is a terrible defender. Like, I straight up have not seen a worse defensive outfielder than Joe Adell. And it's confusing though, because sometimes he'll make this spectacular play and other times he just can't catch an easy pop fly. So the Angels are in fact cooking, and I do not want to jinx them, so I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood. I don't know if you can hear that. I have a wood desk. But between acquiring Tyler Anderson in free agency, trading for Gio Urshela, although I don't know how exactly productive Gio is going to be if he's playing 145 plus games at third base, shortstop, first base, DH. Like, as a baseball player, you need consistency, and I'm wondering if that's going to affect his mentality. But if it doesn't, that could end up being a really good trade. And Hunter Renfroe, again, you can pencil him in for 25 home runs, 25 doubles. He's going to have 10 to 15 outfield assists because he basically has a bazooka attached to his right side of his body. And because the Angels have a plethora of young pitching talent, they can essentially give them away for a player like Hunter Renfroe and not really worry about it. So Jansen Junk, Elvis Peguero, if you guys want to see him, I'm sorry that you've been traded, my guy, and Adam Seminaris, they are going to the Brewers. So the Brewers, I like to really compare them. They're the National League version of the Guardians. They're not going to spend a ton of money. They're good at developing players. They're good at acquiring talent in trades. I mean, aside from that Josh Hader trade, unless Esteury Ruiz is the next, Jose Reyes, I don't understand that trade at all. But if you go back to a few seasons ago, they picked up Willy Adames in exchange for Drew Rasmussen. So they developed Drew Rasmussen, who has been a godsend for the Rays. They acquired Willy Adames. So the Brewers, I think they'll be fine in terms of longevity. It's just if they're going to spend money this offseason, if they have the funds to do so, if the owner says, yes, pull the trigger, you go spend money on players. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Colton Wong is apparently on the trading block as well. I don't know. But if I did have to grade the offseason so far by the Angels, honestly, I'm giving them an A. And again, I'm not trying to jinx them, and I do this every single year, but I think the Angels right now are a much better team. Now, real quick, don't go anywhere. I'm going to end today's recap with a few other small news. So Joely Rodriguez, formerly with the Rangers, I think he came over in that Joey Gallo trade. He had a 2.84 ERA with the Yankees. He was really good. And then with the Mets, he was not as good. So he is going to the Red Sox for 1 year. And then also a small note, Hoy Park, who was kind of the centerpiece of the Clay Holmes trade. A lot of people were saying, why did Brian Cashman make this move? Because Hoy Park, if you guys did not know, he basically is prime Babe Ruth in AAA. So if we take a look at his AAA stats from 2021, he had 11 home runs, he hit 290 with a 933 OPS, so not Babe Ruth, but he was like a Michael Brantley type of player. But then in 2022, he struggled both in AAA and the majors, so the Yankees, they absolutely won that trade. And then last but not least, I do have a pretty cool clip for all of you Braves fans who are worried about Ronald Acuna Jr. and his injury concerns. Check out this home run from the Venezuela League. He's okay.
Acuña, que tabla, señores, que